to Red Boots and Heels. We're so glad to have you join us this afternoon.
I'm Boots.
And I'm Heels. Again, thank you for coming and listening to us this afternoon. We have quite a bit to talk about. One of the biggest things and biggest issues I'm dealing with right now, I know you've been also dealing with this, is the snakes on the plane.
And we don't mean snakes
on the plane.
The Democrat snakes on the plane.
I mean, come on. I mean, this is getting to the point of ridiculous. I mean, literally, they're fleeing. On this rather nice plane, too, by the way, maskless snakes on the plane.
Well, I mean, that's even beside the point.
Yeah.
These are elected officials that, on your dime, are pulling childish antics of stomping out, and refusing to do their job, refusing to go to session, refusing to take a vote on election laws, because quite frankly, they don't want to have election laws.
Oh, and this is quite important. I mean, I don't see. Well, it's not the first time it happened. It happened in 2003 too.
Right. Well, and we've been having this huge problem with election integrity and election fraud.
Probably the most important time ever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we just had a big, huge election fraud issue.
Absolutely.
So, and quite frankly, at midterms, if we don't fix the problem that we have, we're not going to have a fair election ever again.
Yeah, we've got
bye Republic.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's no question on that. I mean, I'm going to tell you that I've been listening to Governor Abbott. He's been saying he's going to arrest them if they come back.
I hope he does. Lock them up. And also, make them pay restitution to the American taxpayers who are footing the dime for all this BS.
Yeah,
because this costs money. These childish antics of theirs, their fit throwing, and their refusal to serve the people that elected them and put them in office. Shame on them. Shame on them for continuing to throw fits and use your tax dollars, your stolen wages, as a playground antic.
I mean, it's almost a vacation.
It's not even that. It's
they left on a filibuster to go to D.C. to try to convince Biden to do away with the filibuster. Talk about hypocrisy.
Yeah, they only want to use laws when it benefits them, and then they want to do away with the law.
Yeah.
They want to use the law in an effort to benefit them, and then they want to do away with the law so that it doesn't benefit anyone else.
Yeah,
go figure.
Yeah, and Biden's out there saying the laws that the Republicans are trying to put in place are disproportionately to black voters, to lower income voters, and also to people on disability. But mainly, he's saying that the black voters are going to be the most affected by this.
Now, how's that? By not requiring an ID? I mean, they're trying to make sure that IDs are shown, and that the poll watchers, that there's transparency for the poll watchers, so that the poll watchers can make sure that IDs are properly presented at the time that the votes are done.
I mean, don't we have to have ID for everything? You have to have an identification to prove that you're old enough to drink a beer. Well, let me tell you this. I would be, if I was a person of color, I would be absolutely offended by this statement that I wouldn't be able to show a proper identification, and that I wouldn't be able to make it to the voting polls on time, to even make the statement that it would negatively affect people of color, is saying that, is basically making a pretty bold statement.
They're not capable.
Saying that they're not capable, or that they're ignorant in some fashion. And if I was a person of color, I'd be mad. I'd be very mad and upset over that.
Personally, I'm kind of enraged that Kamala Harris actually stood there and said that people in rural America weren't even smart enough to operate a copy machine.
She is comparing those people that ran off, and to not do their duty and fleeing their responsibility, to people such as Frederick Douglass, she actually compared that. She compared them to the women that marched down Pennsylvania Avenue that were really actually significant in helping get the voter laws established. She's actually comparing these people who ran away from their responsibility to people like that actually were significant
Shamefully
in our nation.
We have had so many
crazy.
brave, talented, intelligent, smart women throughout our history, and the women that led the suffragette movement to bring us equality are just not to be equaled. And frankly, I'm very sickened at the idea of anyone trying to use these things on this plane and say that they in any way equate to the women of the suffragette movement.
She compared it to the march on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. She compared these people as assailing them as heroes for leaving their duty on the taxpayers' dollars and foregoing, the reason they were voted into office and hightailing. And I don't know if that kind of thing happened in 2003 when the 11 state senates went to Albuquerque
well, and
or
here's
not,
the
but
deal.
this is getting absolutely ridiculous.
You've got all of these elected officials making X amount of dollars on a private jet,
right.
a highly organized
And a very cushy bus.
Who
who
organized this?
Yeah, somebody did.
Who organized this?
So,
Biden,
I mean, yeah.
Harris, Obama.
It seems to me that, they're making they're tearing down all the significant statues
mockery
of our history, and they're promoting this new history
Chaos,
of these runaway people,
chaos,
and
perversion
oh my God,
of anything decent,
this is the
of
new
our
norm.
laws.
This is the new norm.
Right. The new norm is a celebration of lawlessness and childish behavior. I mean, if your children behaved in that manner, you'd bust their ass and you'd send them to bed without their dinner.
Yeah, probably would do that. I think
Sorry.
I went to bed a couple of times without my dinner growing up. I got my ass busted a few times too.
So, it's crazy. Everything is upside down.
Everything is upside down.
And it's really...
How are we going to turn it back right side up?
By taking a stand and talking about things.
Seriously.
We have to talk about things, and maybe we won't entirely agree when we start a dialogue, but maybe we can talk about things and we can make some sense of some things and step forward in some positive way, because this is killing our country. Even for the memory of those that came before us that made such sacrifices.
Yeah. Don't we owe it to them, at least?
Shouldn't we owe it to their memory to be the type of people that deserve...
Patriotism is just literally leaving our country. If you're just a straight up,
everyday person, then you're nothing.
God-fearing, loving American, you are becoming the enemy.
Right.
You are.
Just a patriotic American has become the enemy to these people.
You're going to have to be completely different. You're going to have to be a minority of some kind in order to be in any way appreciated by this party. Okay, so I do have a question. So, I'm feeling like there was voter fraud. I'm feeling like with all the video footage and all the things that I saw and all the things that I studied, I'm feeling that there does need to be stricter laws. I think that was very loose through the COVID era. I think it was used as a means to make that happen.
Well, absolutely.
And, why does my opinion or a fellow patriot's opinion not matter just as much as what they propose that they are feeling?
Because quite frankly, they really don't give a damn about your opinion and how you feel, because how you feel isn't relevant to their mission, and their mission is the destruction of the very fabric of the United States of America, and you stand in the way, so they really don't give a rip. There were widespread accounts, there were video footage accounts of voter fraud,
we saw it.
Widespread election fraud. I personally heard and saw accounts. One gentleman that lives in Minnesota that is not even of a particular political stance told me personally that he witnessed what he believed to be illegals in line ahead of him, not having to produce an ID. Because
wasn't even asked, were
right,
they? They didn't even ask them.
No, the poll watchers were instructed to not even require an ID of these people.
So how is that fair and how is that right?
They threw out a name and an address,
and then there you go.
That was good enough.
And
they
it's
weren't
accepted.
even to question it, and that happened all over the country. All over the country, people going in. Also, a personal real life friend of mine, her parents live in Washington State. They received 7 unsolicited mail-in ballots.
I remember you telling me about that.
For their household for the presidential. 7. 7.
Yeah.
And really in the state of Texas, all they want to do is have laws in place to where mail-in ballots are not solicited by any particular county or state.
And they were actually extending the time too.
Right,
I don't know why there would be any kind of problem with that.
And to where also there's one singular ballot per person, and there is a checks and balances system to ensure that.
And why would that be a problem for anybody?
Exactly. That's all they have done is fight tooth and nail to remove laws.
And Biden, keeps going back to, it's just because, Trump has put it out there that there was a problem with the election and that it was stolen, and that's why that we feel this way. Well, that's not the reason I feel this way. The reason I feel this way and the reason that I believe that the election was stolen is, it's pretty obvious. Biden couldn't even get together enough people for a decent garage sale. Okay. So there's something wrong there when you have literally millions of people that were rallying for Trump, and definitely we saw proof of voter fraud throughout this entire thing that was absolutely just ignored. And so even if all of that wasn't true, and I think it, then why shouldn't my thoughts be just as important as their thoughts?
Well, and
there's
the deal.
millions and millions of us that believe it.
Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal, man. Here's the deal, man.
Yeah, there's the deal. It's a thing.
We have all the rational thinking people of Texas are asking are for just common sense laws.
Yeah, come on. That's it.
For ID proof and common sense limitations for citizens and non-felons to vote in the state of Texas.
Exactly.
There is nothing wrong with that. But yet the maniacs walk out and refuse. They refuse. They have a stalemate. They refuse to take part in what the people of Texas have asked them to do. Do the job.
The Democrats keep saying that it's going to make it very easy. These Republican laws are going to make it easy for there to be very slight mistakes made with very high penalties, meaning it just keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up, that this is the reason that they're having the problems and issues that they have, that we're making it so hard that these mistakes are going to happen, and then people are going to pay high penalties for it, and they just can't have that. So what are you actually saying? That you are, you just don't want to see more criminals be brought out by committing voter fraud.
We all know if you're a felon,
it's not that hard to vote right.
Right, you don't have.
It's not that hard to vote.
It's really
right.
not. I have voted in every election since I was 18.
I can follow
it's not that
instructions,
difficult.
and so can people of color. Democrats, they can follow instructions
it's so
like everybody else. Yes, it is.
It's
insulting.
actually very insulting.
It's pathetic. It's insulting.
Well, it's insulting.
All the black people that I know are insulted by that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The Hispanics that I know,
they're insulted by that.
The Cuban Americans that I know that actually have come here
by that.
as immigrants and became United States citizens are absolutely
insulted by
disgusted at the mere thought and hint that these bigots that use that word all the time and point fingers and try to convince the left that people that just want to follow common laws are bigots actually say the most hideous things against people of color and people that live in rural America. God,
Biden is one of the biggest racists out there. We've kind of covered it, but I mean, it's not going away. I mean, this is not going away. We keep thinking, wow, let's do some fun stuff. Well, we're kind of eaten up with all this crap because
we're going to do some fun stuff.
We are going to do some fun stuff. We're going to do some fun stuff out there because we need it, and I think our audience kind of loves that.
I'm going to go ride motorcycles.
Yes, you are.
And then I've got a motorcycle ride coming up headed to Sturgis, and that's always a great time.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really fun time.
There's some good fun stuff coming up, people.
So, you know, just like I said, you know, hang on to your hat, and you keep saluting the flag and keep loving the America that we know and that we love, and just hang in there. You know, we just got to keep talking about it.
Be an inspiration.
You know,
be an inspiration.
And listen, guys, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. I mean, that does help us out a lot.
Absolutely.
And certainly go over to our website, redbootsandheels.com, and check out our rescue mission there with Pets and Politics. And as always, we're happy that you joined us this afternoon. So see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.